Hello and welcome to Finding Your North Star, the HGKC podcast series where we talk to prominent business people about their experiences and challenges of innovation. I recently became a director of Somerset Chamber of Commerce, and the more I've found out about what's going on here, the more excited I've become. So in this new series of podcasts, we're focusing on place and specifically Somerset. Situated to the south of Bristol and extending from the mouth of the Severn to Devon in the south, and across the M5 to Wiltshire and Dorset in the east, Somerset is a county of contrasts. It's rural, but with one of the largest concentrations of precision engineering in the UK. It's a county with a declining birth rate that many people retire to, but with opportunities for skilled work such as those offered at Hinkley Point C and by Agratas on the former Royal Ordnance Factory that are turning Bridgwater into a boomtown. There's no university, but there are several highly innovative colleges that are contributing to skills development for young and old alike. Yet there's still a skills shortage. Somerset presents a unique combination of challenges and opportunities. I'm Peter Quintana, and I'm delighted in this episode to be exploring Somerset with Mark Bolton, CEO and Principal of Yeovil College. Welcome, Mark.
Hi, Peter.
So I want to talk to you about the work that Yeovil College is doing with employees in Somerset and your links to Leonardo helicopters. But I read your profile on your website and was interested to see you graduated from De Montfort University in graphic design. How did a freelance graphic designer from the Northeast end up as principal of a college in Somerset?
So I graduated in the very early 90s, and with a combination of Photoshop just being launched and a recession biting hard, it was relatively difficult to make a living. And so I supplemented that with very part-time lecturing work. And by the late 90s, I was working as a full-time lecturer. I continued teaching till the very early 2000s. And then by complete fluke, I became a manager. And I suppose I was given the opportunity to become a manager because I was good as a lecturer. And I really enjoyed that. Interestingly, I think often about the transferable problem solving and creativity skills that were my cornerstones as an illustrator and designer. And I think they have been probably defining attributes for me as a leader that have, I suppose, differentiated me to others. And I think every day is a learning day, and every day you're faced with challenges and opportunities that require creativity, they require problem solving. Most of the things that I face as a leader on an ongoing basis, there's no right or wrong answer, particularly to any of the questions that you're faced with, just a whole long list of possible scenarios that you might employ. And I certainly didn't ever think I'd be a principal. I didn't think I'd ever be a senior leader. I was always committed to painting pictures. That's what I wanted to do, but it's a funny old life, isn't it?
Well, communication is often about painting pictures, isn't it? I would imagine in the role that you have, communication is a big part of what you do, isn't it?
Yeah, I think it is. Interestingly, a fellow chamber director to yourself once gave me some feedback about the selection process here at Yeovil College for principal. He commented that it was my focus on a future state that was different and ambitious. And then the serendipitous piece about Somerset is, whilst working at a college in the Northeast, I successfully bid for some funding to run a teaching, learning and assessment project in a college I was working in. And one of the consultants who came to do some work with my construction engineering team at the time was brilliant. And he was a chap called John Evans. And when I was looking for a new job, his face popped up as the principal at Yeovil College. I have to concede, I couldn't place a pin in a map at the time to describe exactly where Yeovil was, but I did know who John was. He was that bloke who came to the college and had a really great impact on the teachers and lecturers I was working with at the time. So I came down as John's Director of Employer Engagement and just loved the place for all sorts of different reasons. I really enjoyed working with John. I was very sad when he said he was going to move on to pastures new. He provided me with some amazing opportunities. And then I was very, very fortunate to succeed him as principal here at Yeovil College. It's a great privilege. But yeah, so it was all John Evans' fault.
I'm sure he's been well regarded for his choices, I would imagine.
and for the impact he made in the college. He paved the way, definitely.
As a rural county, Somerset faces some significant demographic challenges. How can its economic strategy, do you think, address issues such as youth retention, skill shortages and ageing populations?
Gosh, you did say we only had 25 minutes.
Yeah.
Well, I think the first thing to say is they're not insurmountable
And that's true.
as challenges. They're really not. But my experience makes me believe that they require really long-term systematic thinking. They require collaboration. They require shared understanding, consensus, and hard work over a very long time, 3 years, 5 years, 7 years, 10 years plus, to really start turning the dial. I think that the tactics emerging are working. I think that the Somerset Council's economic strategy, being business-led, is strong. That is a good group of individuals who are challenging the council and working with the council to articulate a strong narrative in terms of an economic strategy. It's a good document. It talks to all the relevant issues. There's really interesting tension there between wealth generation and social action mobility. I don't think they're mutually exclusive in any way, but you need deep pockets and wealth to impact some of those very difficult and long-term issues about making sure that everybody has opportunity to live a productive work life. I think Great Southwest strategy and focus is solid. Defence security, energy security, food security, they're well conceived as strategies, particularly as they reference the kind of cross-cutting industries that can support them. You know, I really sincerely hope that our pan-regional partnership, Great Southwest, can continue into the future. It's one of the few PRPs to have been given some intermediate government funding. I think it's critical that it continues that coherent narrative for the Southwest with a strong voice into central government and central agencies. It's essential. You look at the way the Northern Powerhouse, the Midlands Engine, the Combined Authority in the Northeast have managed to shape themselves and take advantage of opportunity over this last couple of decades. We must replicate that, you know.
Yeah, I agree.
I think Somerset Chamber over the past 12 months is transforming, and that's really encouraging. Dave, crew and the team are making great strides. That's really helpful. Devolution solution with Dorset and Wiltshire, that makes a lot of sense as far as I can see. They've got similar challenges. They've not got exactly the same economic profile, but there's huge similarities. And ultimately, lines on a map don't determine where people work or learn. The travel to learn and travel to work corridors are something that make a lot more sense. And the routes in and out of Yeovil and up and down to Dorchester and there and back to Salisbury, right across Dorset and Wiltshire, like they're established routes, you know, up and down to Bristol. So, you know, we've got to work to that and collaborate with our partners in a different geography to that we have in the past.
Yeah.
And then our own South Somerset, North and West Dorset Place Leadership Group is having a real impact, and it's making strategy live and breathe. The three big core projects around technology and innovation, talent attraction and retention in universities for Somerset. That's got real traction now, but it's slow, hard work. You know, the first Place Leadership Group meeting was in March 2020. It takes time to build understanding. It takes even more time to create consensus, and then more time still to take that high-level ambition objectives and turn them into strategy and activity that deliver opportunity on the work.
And it takes the will of others to work towards that shared vision, doesn't it? You can't just say, hey guys, we're going to do this and expect everybody to come with you. And I think that's one of the things that the Great Southwest you mentioned has started to paint, that picture of what the Southwest could be, should be, to a certain extent is already, but perhaps doesn't get the recognition for being that. But people get behind that. It creates that sense of energy as a collaborative geography and all of the businesses and academic institutions within it to drive towards that future.
I think that's true. It has got to be business-led, but I think those forums are bringing the right people and organizations together on a regular basis. I feel we have a responsibility to try and be some of the glue and do some of the work that can tie it together and can articulate what might be possible, to share it with them in the hope that we've got a bit of it right. Because in truth, Yeovil College isn't here for itself. We're not the point. The point is we are here to support our business community's prosperity and success. Their prosperity and success is the prosperity and success of our community. And we are simply here for that community. We are part of that community and we serve that community. So the way we can do that best is ensure that those businesses which generate wealth, and we've unashamedly focused on advanced manufacturing and aerospace, construction, digital and health, because we believe that those are the industries that create wealth in a place. If we can really put our shoulder behind those businesses like Leonardo, Thales, Honeywell, Atlas, Pneumatic, Loop, they're at the cutting edge and in some instances bleeding edge of industrial innovation. If we can support them be more prosperous and win more contracts, then it is to the benefit, the direct benefit of the young people and some older people that look to the college to support their career development. And so we've worked really, really hard over this past 10 years that I've been here to understand as clearly as we possibly could how we can support Leonardo and its supply chain to be successful.
The question I wanted to come to is, I know you pride yourself on the relationship you're developing with all of these employers, and that's come through from what you've said already. But Leonardo's must be one of the biggest employers in Yeovil, and I know that you work very closely with them. How did that relationship come about, and how specifically are you working with them?
There's some things I can clearly talk very freely and openly about, and other things that are probably just a bit more sensitive. I think there's something worth saying beforehand. I can talk about the role that we're taking here in Yeovil, and I can be really confident about that our colleagues in Bridgewater and Exeter and Western are also focused on similar strategy. You know, in essence, the activity, the tactics and the strategy that we are employing are bringing things together. Us as academic institutions, our innovation centres, our research partnerships, our businesses. It's about trying to bring those things together. I used the word glue earlier. And I think that's a really important role to play. If there's not a conduit that brings those private sector organisations, public sector organisations, third sectors and others together on a regular basis, we're trying to understand what they need in terms of skills and knowledge in their workforce, what technologies and processes will they be using. We run skills summits so that we can just keep asking the question and listening to the answers so that we can understand as deeply as possible and then play it back to them. Say, we think we've heard this. Is that right? Should we do this next? So that we continue to adapt our curriculum and that we continue to bid and purchase new equipment. Like, for example, the engineering curriculum, not just from an aerospace perspective, but from an advanced manufacturing and sometimes fab and weld as well. That runs from level 2 all the way up to and including level 6. Someone can start their engineering education here in Yeovil at GCSE level, and they can continue all the way up to BEng honours degree without ever having to leave Yeovil. And that's a new thing. It wasn't possible in the past, but for this last 2 or 3 years, it's incrementally been possible. Our partners at the University of Plymouth, the University of West England, and the Open University have been fantastic in supporting us in that endeavour to get to full level 6 right here in Yeovil. And from last September, anyone who was enrolling on the higher level programs in engineering, whether that be a degree apprenticeship, which are prolific now, most of our higher education learners in engineering are on degree apprenticeships. That's a win-win for everybody.
You know, I said in the opening about the innovative colleges. There isn't a university in Somerset, but there are several innovative colleges that are effectively delivering university level education through other ways.
To talk up universities for Somerset, to talk up and make very visible the higher education opportunities here in Somerset, South Somerset, North and West Dorset, right here on our doorstep, is a really great thing. More and more families are thinking harder and harder about tuition fees and going somewhere else in the country to pursue higher education in all its forms. Well, we have got more degree apprentices than we've got students studying degrees now.
Excellent.
It's just brilliant. Families are benefited. Young people are pursuing fantastic careers with brilliant businesses without having to leave the county. And the more of that we can do addresses that question about how do we address those issues about youth retention, skills shortages and aging populations. Well, by keeping a hold of are very capable young people and giving them brilliant opportunities
Yeah.
with global businesses right here in Yeovil and near to Yeovil. That's just fantastic. When I got here in 2015, we had less than 10 students studying engineering at higher education level.
Really?
We've now got approaching 400 apprentices in engineering. It will well exceed 450 this September. And well over 150 will be at higher level. The same story is true in construction. There's an emerging, very positive story about digital and computing science, which I suspect and fully expect to follow the same trajectory over this next 3 or 4 years by working hand in glove with Leonardo, Thales, Atlas, Loop, Screwfix, to name but a few. So that curriculum's there, and now the R&D piece is about full-on post-grad research and development linked to autonomous systems for subsea and aerospace. We've got no right to be getting mixed up in that kind of stuff. We're a little college in South Somerset, but if we're not, who is? And so we're entirely focused on taking that place. Over this last few years, hydrogen rig, factory floor rig, cobots, cell tech rig, collaboration with iAero, the Advanced Manufacturing Research Centre, the National Composite Centre, robotics manufacturers and software companies, 3D printing companies, Markforged, Leonardo, Honeywell, Thales, Atlas. It's going on every single day.
It's just endless, isn't it? Yeah.
And it's just great. As I said, it's not hard. It's just hard work. And the point to really focus on is like, it's not about us. Our job is to ask some questions, to listen really intently, to play it back and say, have we missed the point? Is this what you want? And to do that really, really frequently so that we build a great understanding and are delivering for those businesses who can benefit our community and create good jobs. In the end, what we're after is more and better jobs. That's our place in the world, as I see it anyway.
No, I think you're right. You talked about digital and you talked about the strength in the southwest of digital. So I know Yeovil College offers some pretty innovative programs to help businesses embrace AI, for example. Having had a background in IT myself, AI I find really, really exciting, what the potential. You talked about autonomous innovation and so forth. But how did those programs come about and how well are they being taken up? And do you think enough is being done to help businesses understand the real value of these new technologies for things like industry disruption, for creating new jobs that we've not even thought about yet? Because I think those opportunities are phenomenal, but getting that message across to business owners, some of whom employ people who are worried that AI is going to take their jobs away, is quite tricky, isn't it?
Yes, I think is the very short answer to the question. I'm 54, and over the decades and since Blade Runner, I've heard various iteratives of what the future might look like. It's very hard to describe with absolute confidence exactly what will happen. So I come back to, we see our job as being the glue where we can, and to be asking the question repeatedly and of as many individuals and organizations that we can. And we've got multiple people employed full time to just keep asking questions in the hope that we're going to get some insight which is useful for our business and wider community. And I suppose really that is how the AI curriculum has come about. The initiative is called boot camps. So when boot camps were first implemented as a government strategy some 2 or 3 years ago, we were very early adopters, and our first foray into them was fairly core to our advanced manufacturing focus. It was about additive manufacture, 3D printing, computer-aided design, digital marketing, and leadership management. Those are the first few we tried. And whilst tough going, they were relatively successful. Well, they've really proliferated over this last 3 years. And gosh, next year, we expect that more than 600 individuals will pursue complete boot camps with Yeovil College. This year, it's just over 300. This year gone, it's just over 300. And by far, the most talked about and highest profile has been the AI one. We're delivering it in partnership with some fantastic colleagues in Techosaurus. I think one of the things that's worth acknowledging is that the vast majority of the boot camps, we use partners to deliver. The subjects that we're focused on are so fast moving that it's not really practical for them to be delivered by people who we employ full time. So the leadership management boot camps, they're delivered by colleagues who've enjoyed very, very successful leadership management careers at the highest level, not people who understand senior leadership in theory. They've walked the walk. And of course, as a consequence of them delivering those boot camps, they've got very, very high value. I mean, they are the most costly curriculum that we've got to deliver, but I see our role as adding value, and those individuals, because of their experience, add the most value. Our colleagues in Technosaurus, they've got similar experience, and they are absolutely at the cutting edge of AI. They are an AI business. A seminar I attended relatively recently described as assistive intelligence as opposed to artificial intelligence, because ultimately that is what we're talking about here. We're talking about something that adds value to the human involvement, and that is central to our AI boot camps. This is not about replacing people. This is about utilizing technology to improve right first time and add value. This is about freeing people up from repetitive tasks that have got potential for error or inaccuracy, freeing them from those parts of their work so that they can focus on the bits where the human interaction is adding big value, the analysis of the information, the evaluation of it, the interpretation of how you might use that in a particular context within that business. AI is not yet good enough to take some of those next leaps. But what's been really interesting about our journey in AI is that when we first started this, Scott and colleagues in Technosaurus, they were talking about AI development being 6 months in terms of cycle, and then it dropped to 3 months in terms of cycle. Now they're talking about it in weeks.
Yeah, rapid cycle. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
The idea that you could make your own AI agent 12 months ago was inconceivable. You had to buy somebody else's. But now AI is creating its own agents. You can make your own agent for your organization to carry out a specific task. There's people who know this area of technology far better than I do, and they're talking about the developments that will take place as a consequence of quantum chips being available and quantum computing capability being accessible by your average person with a keyboard. They offer unprecedented opportunity. So I suppose the tools that we have at our disposal are to give every young person who comes through a full-time program insight to the digital future, hands-on skills and knowledge to take to the workplace in that digital future. So we see our job is embedding that in the curriculum. And then over this last few months, and what we'll see over this next 12 months, is the full embedding of AI as core curriculum for all of our students, and trying to stay ahead of that to make sure that our students are exposed to and leave us with knowledge, skill, confidence to take to the workplace so that they can enjoy the more successful careers. And for those who are already in the workplace, it's those AI boot camps. And the feedback from the AI boot camps has been exceptional. It's not a theoretical program, it's absolutely hands-on. It's completely applied. All of the bits of work that people do on those AI boot camps is about applying it immediately into the businesses that they work in. And there's no greater exponent of that than us at Yeovil College. We've got dozens and dozens of colleagues who are enjoying those AI boot camps. You know, we're paying for that, but my gosh, is it amazing value for money? Absolutely amazing value.
Because it enhances productivity tenfold if you can use it effectively.
100%. And we will continue to grab every opportunity that comes along, respective of the digital future.
Yeah. As somebody who's made Somerset their home, what reasons would you give if you were talking to somebody about investing in Somerset or relocating or setting up a new business here?
I think the quality of opportunities and the critical mass that we have relative to high value industries is significant. I think the quality of opportunity for workers and their families is exceptional. That is probably the number one reason that I relocated here 9 years ago with my family.
The quality of life in Somerset itself.
Well, the quality of opportunity. I've got 5 kids, and the quality of opportunity for young people entering the workforce. I've never worked anywhere where it's been comparable in terms of the number of great opportunities as compared to the number of workers. So the opportunity for someone who wants to work hard and get on in life to create an amazing career with less competition, it's here in Somerset. And I think that's really interesting. From a family perspective, I have never worked anywhere else in the country where your children have got access to comparable opportunities as close to home and as easily. And when you mix in the increased volume of degree apprenticeships that are available to young people here in Somerset, North and West Dorset, it's a no-brainer for a family. It's an absolute no-brainer. And then for a business, the consensus that's emerging, the conduits and support network to innovation, the number of great businesses at the cutting edge, I think that's really compelling. The great training and development that you can access here in Somerset for your workforce is really strong. It's as comparable and better than anywhere else in the country. My colleagues who've got the good fortune to run those other colleges in our county are as good at listening as we are. The relationships that we've got between us are incredibly strong. The level of and amount of collaboration that we have between us is superb and not comparable to other parts of the country. It's a much more competitive landscape in other places that I've worked. It is much more collaborative here. And it's not kind of soft and cozy collaborative. It's sharp and pointy collaborative with real intent and focus. And then the opportunity for a great place to live and work. I struggle to point at a better proposition anywhere else in the country. Those cultural and heritage assets that we've got right here on our doorstep, and they're just amazing. You need 20 minutes from the south coast. If you're into power boats or sailing or just sitting on a beach and country parks, Yeovil is the only town that I know of in the country with a country park. There's a full-on country park right in the town centre. It's stunning. The Blackdown Hills, the Quantock Hills, Mendips, there's beautiful outdoor spaces within 5 minutes of any town centre here. The quality of life is superb. The average salary is really very, very good. And the top end salaries, because of the proliferation of tech businesses and advanced and precision manufacturing businesses here in South Somerset, North and West Dorset, is great. I said to a colleague who repeats this line back to us on a regular basis, it's like when you take all those things and weigh them, like, where else would you want to be? Genuinely, like, where else would you want to be?
Yeah. Kind of anticipated the last question I wanted to ask you, which was, what message would you like to send out to young people who are entering the workplace for the first time? You kind of said it, really. Where else would you want to be? But because there are opportunities, I guess you've got to temper that a little bit, because Somerset also has rural and coastal communities, and giving them the opportunity to access the opportunities that people have who live in and around Yeovil or in and around Bridgewater for Hinkley Point and Agratas, that's a bigger challenge for the county overall, isn't it? So if you're a young person entering the workforce and you're living in Burnham or somewhere out on that coastal area, it's a little bit different from speaking to a young person who lives in Yeovil, isn't it?
What's worth noting is the college has grown and it continues to grow at a steady, manageable, but fairly steep rate. The college is more than twice its size than it was 6 or 7 years ago. We've got students who travel some fair distances to us. We spend nearly £400,000 a year on buses. And that's an investment that's well worth making. It means that those students who live in places which are difficult to access on public transport or even slow to access on public transport, we supplement those routes with our own buses. We've got 7/8 routes that come in from all over the place. Almost 50% of our learners are now not from Yeovil. 10 years ago, almost all of our students came from Yeovil or the very near surrounding villages. And the truth is now that it's almost 50-50. And so Sturminster Newton, Shaftesbury, Gillingham, Shepton Mallet, Somerton, Langport, Chard, Bridport, Bedminster, Dorchester. We have routes into college that make it a better quality of life for our students than accessing public transport. And what's been really interesting is that over a very short period of time, the minibus becomes a coach, the coach becomes a bigger coach, and the coach becomes a double-decker, because what has been clear is that choice in that town or village that was further away from Yeovil, the preference would have been to come to Yeovil College, but actually it just wasn't a reasonable proposition for some young people, because the journey, for whatever reason, was deemed not good or not manageable. But the putting on of those routes has meant that those young people can get to college on one bus. And as a consequence, the number of young people from further afield places who come to Yeovil College continues to grow steadily. I'm really interested in trains. I'm interested in how we can improve further the travel time for our young people by working with the train companies. But at the moment, train travel for a young person is prohibitive. Season ticket to get to Yeovil from, say, Gillingham at £3,000. And at the moment, that's just not doable for anyone. So I think there's a really interesting conversation with stakeholders, including the rail companies, probably MPs and our government, about how do we improve further still the access we've given to our young people who wanted to come to Yeovil College but finding it more difficult. There's a company in Dorset who wanted more of their apprentices to come to Yeovil College. Well, we've just put on a bus, and so they come to Yeovil College because that's what the business wanted. We continue asking questions. We continue to listen to the answers. We continue to say, is this an answer? And if it's not, listen a bit further still, and then talk about again. As I say, it's not hard, is it? It's just hard work. And as long as that we continue to put our shoulder to the stone, just keep on that hard work, I'm hoping that for many years to come, we can continue delivering for our business community and creating opportunities for young people to realise great careers right here in South Somerset, North and West Dorset, and hopefully positively impact that narrative, which is too many young people go and try and pursue a career or higher education somewhere else.
Why would they want to be anywhere else? Exactly.
Why would they? You know what? Because they can do it all here. They can do it all here. So we continue to be committed to that and hope that our good fortune, which has been hard worked for, continues in the same trajectory for the next 10 years. So I don't plan on going anywhere.
So, well, that seems to be a good place in which to end this. I think we could probably talk about this all afternoon, Mark, couldn't we? But it remains for me to thank you, Mark, for joining me. It's been a real pleasure to talk to you this afternoon. It's been
Thanks
brilliant.
for the opportunity, Peter.
So if you're an employer thinking about apprenticeships, considering the benefits that closer ties with a college like Yeovil could deliver, or just want to find out more about what the college offers, please visit their website, www.yeovil.ac.uk. If you'd like to find out more about HTKC and how we work with our clients on leadership, growth through innovation and preparation for exit, please visit our website, www.hdkc.co.uk. And if you're not a member of Somerset Chamber of Commerce, well, you should be. Please visit the Chamber website to find out about how the Chamber is supporting business across the county. Thank you for listening, and goodbye.